The following video tutorial is by digitaltoolsforarchitects.com, the architect's source for tutorials, techniques, tips, and tricks.
Hello and welcome to Adobe Illustrator tutorial 3.16 using the envelope distort tool. So I now have an object, and this is the same perspective that I worked with in tutorial 3.15 where I created a clipping mask of this particular image. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to work with this image and make it an image that is in perspective. This is obviously a flat image that I took of a brick wall, but I'd like these bricks to work in the perspective of the drawing. And I'm going to do that by using the envelope distort tool. So in this particular instance, if we look at my layers here, we'll see that I have a wall 1 layer that has a clipping mask path, which is clipping my object, and a linked file, and that is my image of bricks. Now, in order to perform an envelope distort on this object, I have to rasterize the image first. So I'm going to go to the Object menu, and I'm going to select Rasterize. Now when I do that, it brings up the Rasterize dialog box here, and I have several different options. Usually the default options are the ones you're going to want to select. A lot of times, though, you'll want the background to be transparent rather than white. I usually select high, 300 ppi, and leave the rest at the default. So I'm going to click OK, and it's going to rasterize my image. Now, it degrades some of the image quality a bit, but I'm not particularly worried because I'm going to end up fading this out in the end anyway. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Object menu, and I'm going to go to Envelope Distort, Make with Mesh. And when I select that, it's going to bring up the Envelope Mesh dialog box, and in the rows and columns, I'm going to select 1 and 1. And that's going to give me control points at each of the 4 corners, which in a perspective like this is all I need. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And once I've done that, I'm going to use the Direct Select tool to select just one of the corners of the object. Now, in this particular instance, I'm going to need to raise this corner up. And as I raise this corner up, you'll notice that this line begins to curve. And because this is a straight wall, I'm not going to end up wanting that curve, so I will use these handles to adjust the curvature of that line to where they become straight again. So I'm going to continue working here. I'm going to select the opposite corner, and I'm going to bring this corner in tighter to my object. And when I do that, you can see that it's really starting to distort this wall, curving it down and then curving it back up. So again, I'm going to use my handles to start to create a straight section in here. And this takes some practice to get right. But as you can see, I'm creating a relatively straight line here using some fine-tuning adjustments, like so, and now that's a nice straight line. Now I'm going to begin working with the opposite corner. I'm going to again select the control point here, and I'm going to get that up to where the bottom of the wall would be, and I'm again going to adjust the curvature of the line here using both of these handles on opposite corners until I get a nice straight line that follows my perspective here. And then I'm going to continue to work a little bit with these outside corners until I get the image exactly as I would like it. So again, I'm adjusting handles. I'm going to adjust this upper corner here. And this is a little bit difficult because there is no wall section continuing up here. So I have to mimic where I think it would be to create the proper perspective. So as I do that, I'm going to continue to work. And you can see that this is now starting to distort such that it approximates what the texture would actually look like on a given wall. So again, it's just some fine-tuning here. I can shorten these handles as necessary, which you can see if I shorten it drastically, you can see what it'll do. It'll skew the horizontal lines in the brick one direction or another. I will continue to adjust those so that those end up in a more vertical context, and I've now created roughly a set of bricks that work in perspective rather than in their original sense. So when I'm done, I can click off the object, and I'm going to show you one last thing that I like to do. I'll use the black arrow selection tool to select my envelope distort object, and I will go over here to the transparency window, and using the transparency window I'll dump down the opacity to maybe 50%. And when you're working with a nice line drawing like this, that's a little low, maybe 60, let's call it 65%. It's going to tone down the coloring that I've put behind my drawing so it doesn't overpower the perspective itself. And that's something that's important when you're working with the line drawing, because ultimately you want the line drawing to show as the most important thing. So as I continue to finish up my drawing here, I'm going to move back to my layers window, and I'm going to turn off my live paint object layer, and I'm going to work again with this base drawing layer, and I'm going to turn that back on. And this is just, oh, I have a linked file here that I don't want to include. I'm going to work just with the base drawing, and this has just my lines on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that on top of the overall layer stack so that I make sure that the lines show up on top of this object underneath. And that's going to give me nice crisp lines on the corners and give me a better perspective overall. So that's using the envelope distort tool, and we'll see you next time.
That's it for this video tutorial. We hope you enjoyed it and learned from it. Please check back with digitaltoolsforarchitects.com for more tutorials, techniques, tips, and tricks.